Ok, siamo qui per la serie New York non è fatta di palazzi, di grattacieli, ma principalmente di persone. I switch in English because it's better, so my guest can understand everything I say, because you know Italian sometimes speak Italian and say something bad, it's typical. Milton Glaser. Milton Glaser is New York. Can I say Milton Glaser is New York?
Well, I don't believe I'm New York, but I certainly live in New York, and I love New York, and I've grown up here and lived here for 86 years, which is a long time, practically a century.
Just for those people who doesn't know, I want to explain you in a very bad way, can I?
Whatever way you can.
This guy is the I Love New York logo man. I think you start to hate that logo because everybody refer to you with the I Love New York logo, but you made tons of great graphic design work. Brooklyn Beer logo, for example, the Bob Dylan posters. In Italy, you made the San Montana logo. You know, now they change it a little bit.
Oh, I don't know what they've done. No, I haven't seen it since I did it.
They changed it a little bit, right. The typeface and the icon of the ice cream with the smile, but your logo were in the best. Wow. The new one is fake. I want to start with a simple question for you. It's very simple, but very complicated. You know, we both work in visual communication, and everybody knows colors is maybe one of the most important things in visual communication, maybe the most important one. I would like to ask you to describe me New York and say me why in just one color.
Black.
Black.
Which is actually the absence of color. And when you have that much color, as you know, even if you do it physically, you take all your colors and mix them together, you get black. They neutralize each other. And the thing about New York is it is so complex, there's so much color and different ideas here simultaneously. If you try to experience them all at once, they disappear into blackness. So you have to understand the meaning of black. I think the issue of color is so complicated that any attempt to quantify is nonsensical. So you say red is a good color, blue makes you this, black, that's kind of marketing talk. And I'm not interested in marketing, it's nonsense. Also, I'm not particularly interested in doing trademarks or identities. It's very curious that the I Love New York became the thing that is most celebrated. One of these great mysteries, why this little trivial piece of nothing became the symbol of my entire existence is a great mystery. So it's been very strange to see how a single work becomes your entire identity. It was designed in 1977. That's a long time for an identity to stay and to grow and to change.
It's also one of the most copied one because every city now start to write I love Milan, I love Barcelona, I love Berlin. I mean, I love New York logo is the most popular identity for a city ever. For the logo or for all the money invested in marketing campaign that this logo is grow up so fast. I want to know your point of view on this simple logo that represent a case history for making a strong identity of a city.
Well, let me give you my principles so you understand them. Logo design generally is a matter of reductive expression, which is to say you have to take an idea, and it always starts with a literary idea, which starts with the word, and try to say, well, what is the quality of the city that people want most to express? Everyone has been asking the question of city identity because this is the most successful city identity ever done. But that is not necessarily because of its character, but because of the circumstances that led to producing it. Also, it is not a trademark. What it is, which makes a difference, is an expression of feeling that the population actually had. Therefore, it falls outside the usual manipulative attempts by logos to identify a quality or a product that they want to repeat and pound into people's brains so they could sell more goods. Here, there was an existentially larger objective, which was to change the direction that the city was going in. It occurred during a period in the city where things were really bad. Crime was on the rise. You would be afraid to go out at night because you think you were being mugged. People were leaving fancy apartments by the droves to move elsewhere. In fact, it was a great time to buy an apartment in New York because they were easily available. And the general feeling was one of despair and sadness. So the state actually started a program. They had the words, "I love New York." And a guy named Bill Doyle came here at this very table one day and said, "We need an identity. That identity should be for this phrase." I did something that was accepted, and then a day or two later, I had another thought in a cab, and I just wrote down, "I heart New York," arbitrarily. One of the things that's involved is the transformation of a noun to a verb. That is the one thing that hadn't been done with the use of hearts, because you've seen a million hearts in your life. But linking it and changing it from a noun to a verb made a transformation of people's perception. And what it was a legitimate expression. The people said, "I'm not going to take it anymore. I've had enough of all the dog shit in the street. We're going to turn it around." And people became militant, and they said, "Because I love this city." So what drove that mark was an authentic love of the city, not an attempt to sell goods. The worst thing about being in advertising and being in the persuasion business is that you don't reflect the needs of your audience. What you do is you try to sell them something, whether it's good for them or not. Here, the objective was to express the population's feeling about their own place. What it has was authenticity and truth. I have to say that is not usually found in the marketing or advertising business. So that's how it came about, and its duration is really surprising to me because, as you know, most advertising campaigns disappear after a year or two.
Yeah.
The reason I entered this field, they're complex, egocentric, sure. I want to show off, certainly. I want to develop a vocabulary, and I want to communicate that vocabulary to others. And I want to perform a social function in society, which is to say that in my work, people benefit in some way from experiencing the work. As a result of that, all of us want to feel that we have not wasted our life and we have not lived our life only for ourselves.
Yeah.
All right? This is a period in time when everybody tends to be narcissistic and self-absorbed, showing off and concerned about their own life and how much money and fame they will accumulate. Money and fame are the most corrosive elements in anybody's development. That's why rich people are so stupid.
Yeah.
So the idea that there are others besides yourself, that the world exists besides you and your interest, and the idea that you can do some public good that benefits others is essential to me. The fact that I did something that was accepted, useful, and transformative makes me very happy because that's what I'm here for. And so when I see it all around, it makes me feel I have actually accomplished something in my life.
These words are amazing, you know? Okay, let's move to this. Graphic design still exists? Or just marketing right now?
Well, marketing dominates. If you do a job for a company now, very often you'll be hired by an agency. Mm-hmm. An agency will hire very often a good graphic designer or a first-rate graphic designer. But the objectives will be not for the expressive content, but for accomplishing a specific body of work. In other words, to make people do something that they are not yet doing or not doing sufficiently. Fundamentally, the most difficult thing about graphic design for me has always been its link to marketing, advertising, and persuasion.
Okay.
Because you have to be very careful about using persuasion to persuade people to do things they don't necessarily want or need.
One of the main problems of young graphic designer is this. Clients, people, doesn't understand the value of our job, so clients don't want to pay so much for hiring a graphic designer and for graphic design in general. Sometimes, you know, when you see the past appear always like, oh, beautiful, everything works. and the present is horrible. Right now, when I talk with the client, it's very difficult to making client understand why he need graphic design, why he need this kind of colors of logo. How it was in the past. The clients was more open to hear the advice of a graphic designer, or it was also difficult in the past?
One of the things about the past was nobody exactly knew what they were doing, and there was a lot of confusion, and there was no understanding of where the graphic design had a function. Now, the intrinsic problem in graphic design is that we are in two worlds, the worlds of art and beauty and expressive content. You want to show that you're doing something brand new. I've talked about this often. But in the world of communication, you can't do too many things that are brand new. The new is incomprehensible.
Yeah.
So you first have to establish a little island of the new, and then that accumulates until it's finally understood. That is the history of transgression. It's the history of the avant-garde. It's the history of art. Right? Business has another objective. It doesn't care how expressive it is. It doesn't care how unique it is, unless you can prove that what is not yet understood also can sell goods. What you do day and night is help a client sell more tomatoes.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't care anything else about you. Every situation comes out of a unique relationship with a client. My clients, the best clients I've had, have always been friends. Okay. There's a personal relationship. But business structure will rob you of your authority because the businessman knows what he wants and he has the money and the power. And as far as he's concerned, you're just a vehicle to establish. Yep. And this is basically, he goes first from him to the marketing department. The marketing department determines what's going to happen and what forms can be used. And then you're at the end of the process, particularly if you're not a genius. Okay. And most people are not geniuses. They're just workers.
Yeah.
So why should the client care about your opinion? The structure is client has needs. Marketing understands those needs. Graphic designer executes what they have decided.
So you are at the end of the structure. This is the problem. Milton Glaser point of view on Italy.
For me, Italy has always been paradise.
Paradise.
I spent my young days in Bologna with Durante. After that, we went to live in Rome, and we went back to Italy 2 or 3 times every year. And we loved every bit of it. We loved the culture, we loved the food, we loved the landscape. So it is kind of an idealized universe for us. And I'm sorry that we don't travel anymore because I miss being in that universe. But it's very much in my head.
Right now, the creative field in Italy have a lot of trouble working in creative field. But I think in United States in general, they have the same kind of problems.
Well, what you were complaining about, this complaint you'll hear from designers all over the United States. Exactly the same complaint. When the economy gets stringent, there's no money. Everybody watches every dollar. And now, in part because of the computer, everybody thinks they know how to do everything. So the specialized function of communication that used to be the province of good graphic designers has become absorbed. Nobody thinks that graphic designers know any more than they do about the subject.
What's your relationship with new technology? I mean, social media? You think...
I don't play that game. I think the availability of this information is totally transformative, but we don't know in what way. I think people are different now. I think over the next decade, you'll see the differences. Technology changes behavior and changes history. Even a simple technology, like moving from painting on walls and frescoes to moving to oil paint so you could carry around a canvas, was transformative to the history of art. Something as simple-minded as a change of medium and pigment, you can't even compare that to the change into an electronic era. So we don't know what's happening.
We don't know. It's early to say something about technology.
The fish in water never knows it's in water.
Okay, maybe it's for your experience, but you seems like you have replied to all my questions. I don't know how.
Listen, I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been teaching for 55 years. Half a century of teaching, then you're wasting your time.
What's your favorite graphic designer of all the time?
I'm interested in the idea of making things. So I don't think it was a graphic designer, which all these days means logos to people.
Yeah.
As you already said, that's not my interest. So we have bottles, we have games, we have buttons, we have packaging. It's a question of moving things to a form that they are most useful or available, or I'm very interested in the idea of beauty, and what is beauty and what creates beauty. I would say that in my youth, the person single in this field, as the field is described, was Paul Rand.
Paul Rand
was my greatest single influence. But then I've looked at everything. I can't say that Paul Rand was ultimately more influential on me than Piero del Francesca, or
it's a chain. Everybody influences someone else.
Everything's influential on everything else. People always say, "What's your favorite?" I hate that question because I don't have favorite, and I don't have favorite foods. I don't have favorite colors. I don't have favorite typefaces.
Okay.
I don't think that way.
Okay, when you have something favorite, you are stuck in, this is my favorite, and you don't look around you.
Well, you hope. I did a book called The Search for the Miraculous, a little book, which is how one thing leads to another. You just do something, you learn something from doing it, you take it, you move it to the next job, you do that job, you incorporate this thing, you keep taking the material that you've learned and moving it forward until it reaches something that you don't know.
So I think we can finish here.
Good.
I want to say to you a big thank you.
Okay.
I put here the camera. I want we say together.
I
I
love
love New
New
York. Thank you, Milton Glaser.
Okay, good
This
luck.
guy is New York for me.